What is up, boyos, and welcome to Last Week in Games, where everything is video games. And today we are talking about the week of October 16th to October 20th. There's not a ton of news, but I think there are some stories that are definitely worth mentioning and some very interesting stuff. So this may be a shorter episode, but an interesting episode nonetheless. So I say we just jump right into it. First, I want to start with the fact that Pete Hines, who, if you don't know, was the head of publishing for Bethesda, decided to retire last week from Bethesda Softworks. It's pretty interesting because last week I was talking about the official merger of Activision Blizzard with Microsoft, right? So now Activision Blizzard is a part of Xbox. And I was talking about how there may be some communication breakdowns happening within Xbox. I mean, their portfolio is becoming massive. The amount of studios they have is unprecedented, right? Like there's just so many studios they have now. And my point last week was, how do you manage that many studios? Now, I know their plan right now is to keep Bethesda and Activision sort of their own sort of publishing arms within Microsoft. But I brought up last week the fact that earlier this year, Pete Hines mentioned the fact that he was kind of upset that Starfield was an exclusive game. Now, I don't want to give the wrong impression. I don't really have an issue with exclusive games. That's not really my point here. My point is that there was obviously a communication breakdown, because this came from Phil Spencer was talking about Call of Duty being multi-platform after the acquisition. And Pete Hines said, well, they told us that over at Bethesda that we'd be acquired and our games would be multi-platform, but here's Starfield and it's not multi-platform. Almost seemed kind of upset about it in an interview that happened earlier this year. So I don't find it that surprising that Pete Hines decided to step down. Is this the reason Pete Hines stepped down? I do find it interesting that a man who's been with the company for 20 plus years decides to leave just, I think it's been like 2 years since the acquisition of Bethesda. Yeah, it just seems like things over at Xbox are weird. They seem to be acquiring all these studios, but to me, it seems like they don't know what they're doing with these studios. I may be wrong about this. I may eat my words. You know, who knows? Maybe next year, Xbox will have the greatest year in gaming. But it just seems like this could be the end of Bethesda as we know it. Pete Hines has been there for forever. I wouldn't be surprised if Todd Howard decides to leave shortly after this. No one's really talking about it like this. Everyone's just like, oh, good for Pete. He made the bag, you know, he's out of here. But to me, this just seems like they want out. They don't have the control over Bethesda that they used to have. And I feel like Bethesda as we know it is dead, and some of you may be cheering because I know a lot of people fucking hate Bethesda. I'm not really one of those people. I've loved most of Bethesda's games. Really, the only game that I thought was kind of bad was Fallout 76. I mean, Fallout 4 was great. I know there's a lot of hate for it online these days, but to me, I thought it was a pretty enjoyable game. I think Starfield is even a great game. Let's remember, though, Starfield was being developed before the acquisition. So who knows what the future of Bethesda holds? We haven't heard from any of the other like Bethesda studios as well. Like what's id up to? What's Machine Games up to? You know, we really haven't heard from these studios. So it just feels like Xbox maybe bit off more than they can chew. But maybe I'm wrong. Let's read the tweet that was sent out by Bethesda. Pete Hines, Senior Vice President, Head of Publishing for Bethesda Softworks, has announced his decision to retire. Pete's public presence was only a small part of his role at Bethesda, although the way he represented us carried over into the values he nurtured here. authenticity, integrity, and passion. His contributions have been integral to building Bethesda and its family of studios into the world-class organization that it is today. His vision helped push us forward, and his hard work inspired us. We're thankful for his 24 years of leadership and wish him the best in this next chapter. We'll miss you, Pete. I always like Pete Hines. He seemed like a genuine dude, and it sucks to see him go from Bethesda. Maybe it was just his time to step down, spend time with his family or whatever. He made a huge bag after being acquired by Xbox. I'm sure he made a ton of money. So I'm sure they even signed an agreement like, hey, Pete, you have to stay with us for 2 years after the acquisition, because if you leave right after the acquisition, it looks kind of bad for us. So just wait a couple years. And, we're seeing the same thing with Bobby Kotick. I mean, it's better that Bobby Kotick is leaving than Pete Hines is leaving, because Bobby Kotick is a piece of shit. But, it just, I don't know. Something about it just seems a little weird to me, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too into it, but it just seems a little strange. The next piece of news here comes from John Nowak over at GameIsHard.gg. Netflix is in talks with Rockstar Games for GTA release on platform. Netflix Games, the gaming service offered by the streaming giant, may see the addition of a popular title in the future. According to reports from the Wall Street Journal, Netflix is currently in negotiations with Rockstar Games for the release of a GTA game on its platform. While details about the potential GTA game on Netflix are still unknown, it has been clarified that it will not be a version of the upcoming Grand Theft Auto 6. It is unclear who will be developing the game for Netflix. Netflix Games, which offers streaming games under a subscription, started its operations in 2021. Despite expanding its games library with dozens of titles, the service has not gained significant traction so far. Recently, the company announced its plans to expand the service from iOS and Android devices to PC and Mac. The addition of a popular franchise like GTA to Netflix's gaming service could potentially attract a larger audience and boost its popularity. This move aligns with Netflix's efforts to diversify its content offering and cater to the growing gaming community. This feels weird. So first of all, I don't really know what Netflix offers on their service. I've heard people mention that Netflix has a gaming service. I guess if you have a Netflix subscription, we all have access to it. But you go on to Netflix, you don't really see it advertised on there. But also, who's accessing Netflix from their phone in the first place? I never look at Netflix on my phone. It's like on my Roku or my PlayStation or whatever. So I guess moving it to PC and Mac, it gives it a bit more of a push that it maybe needs. But I don't know. It seems weird that they're pushing Rockstar for a new GTA game, considering that we've been waiting for GTA 6 for like over 10 years. It just seems like these big companies, like last week we talked about Disney potentially buying EA, right? I don't think these big companies understand how games work. They think they can just say, hey, I want a GTA game on my platform, and that some game developer will be able to pump that out in 6 months. And that's just not how games work. I mean, you could make a mobile game in 6 months probably, but it's not going to be very good. So whatever they're going to get from this deal with Rockstar is not going to be very good. I think it's foolish for Rockstar to even consider making a deal with Netflix, to be honest with you, unless that deal is to make some sort of Red Dead Redemption movie or like a Grand Theft Auto movie. I think if Netflix wants to build its portfolio of games, I think the best way to do that is to reach out to smaller publishers like a Devolver. Reach out to like a Devolver who already have a bunch of games out and just ask, hey, can we put your library of games on our platform? It doesn't have to be the whole library, but like some of your games, right? I feel like that would be a better move than just working on like one GTA game that's gonna probably suck dick. So I don't know. Seems like a bad idea to me. Next piece of news here comes from Eddie McCooch over at GameSpot.com. Nintendo boss says transition from Switch to next console will be smoother than before. Nintendo is widely rumored to be working on its next console, and the company may have even shown it to developers at Gamescom in August. Some studios might have the console already. Nintendo of America boss Doug Bowser cannot comment on these rumors and reports, but he did suggest in a new interview with Inverse that the Nintendo account system in place on Switch currently might carry forward to whatever comes next from Nintendo. This should help ease the transition, he said. Quote, well, first, I can't comment, or I won't comment, I should say, on the rumors that are out there. But one thing we've done with the Switch to help with that communication and transition is the formation of the Nintendo account, Bowser said. Nintendo's previous consoles had their own account systems, and players had to create new accounts for subsequent hardware launches. But the new overarching Nintendo account changes this. It, quote, allows us to communicate with our players if and when we make a transition to new platform to help ease that process or transition, Bowser said. Quote, our goal is to minimize the dip you typically see in the last year of a console cycle and the beginning of another. I can't speak to the possible features of the new platform, but the Nintendo account is a strong basis for having that communication as we make the transition. I feel like this is something we kind of already talked about, but very good, very good. It seems as though Nintendo is following suit with the PlayStation and Xbox with the fact that from PS4 to PS5, your account transferred over, meaning that all the games that you own on PS4 are on the PS5. And I hope that is the case for the Switch. Every Switch game you own is going to be available on the Switch too. I don't know if that's the case. I really, really hope it's the case. But that does seem to be what he's saying, that every Switch game will be available on the Switch too. At the very least, your account will be able to be transitioned over to the Switch 2, meaning any points you earn over on the Switch will be transferred over to the Switch 2, etc., etc. This is great news, something we all kind of figured would happen if Nintendo didn't do this. I think there would be a lot of backlash, which is something they don't really want at this point, especially considering that after every successful Switch console is typically a pretty bad console. I mean, let's look at the Wii, which was a very successful console, and then we look at the Wii U, which was not a very successful console, and I think they're trying to avoid that this time around. I think it's a good idea. Let's just call it the Switch 2. Let's just continue the lineage. We found our market, which is handheld gaming that can also be played on a TV. Let's stick with it. Let's go with it. Let's make the hardware better, which according to every rumor we've seen, the new Switch is just the Switch with really good hardware. So if it's the Switch again, let's just have all Switch games on the new Switch. And we've seen the success of the PS4 transition to the PS5 because a lot of PS4 gamers are still out there, still buying games, while slowly PS5s are growing. You know, we're 3 years into the new consoles, the PS5 and the Xbox Series, and we're only just now starting to see console exclusive games for the PS5 and Xbox Series, and I think that has everything to do with the fact that there's cross-platform for these things, so you can release a PS4 game and PS5 gamers have access to it already. So very, very good stuff, very good idea. Love to see it. Thank you, Nintendo. I hope that everything works out good because I love my Switch, and if the Switch 2 is just the Switch but beefier, that's exactly what I want, and I can guarantee you that's what most everyone else wants. Let's get to our last piece of news here, and these are the NPD numbers for September. These are the best-selling games of the year according to Circana, or formerly known as NPD. So here are the best-selling games of September 2023. At number 1 is Starfield. At number 2 is Mortal Kombat. At number 3 is EA Sports FC 24. At number 4 is Madden NFL 24. At number 5 is Payday 3. At number 6 is NBA 2K24. At number 7 is The Crew Motorfest. At number 8 is Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon. At number 9 is Hogwarts Legacy. And at number 10 is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. There's one very interesting thing on here that I think is worth mentioning is the fact that Starfield got number 1, which is surprising because Starfield is on Game Pass. And I don't think Game Pass downloads count as sales. So even with it being on Game Pass, it still sold a shit ton on Steam. So pretty interesting. It kind of tells me that a lot of gamers maybe don't see the value in Game Pass and just want one big game a year, which is kind of what I've been saying for a while. I think Game Pass, as we see it now, will be different. I've been making the prediction for a long time that day and date releases for Xbox, that's not going to last forever. There's no way that can last forever because they're losing out on a ton of sales. I think like release the game, sell it for a year, and then in a year put it on Game Pass. I think that's a much better model and seems to be the model PlayStation is running with, because PlayStation understands there's a ton of sales to be made on your initial release. So I have a feeling that soon we will see games like Starfield and maybe Call of Duty in the future won't be released day and date with Game Pass, but I could be wrong. We'll see. We'll see how it all pans out. All right, these are the best-selling games year to date, ending with September. At number 1 is still Hogwarts Legacy. God damn, this game sold a ton. At number 2 is The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. It is worth mentioning that Nintendo does not release its digital sales. So I'm sure if they included the digital sales with Legend of Zelda, it would be number 1. But this is just purely physical sales for Nintendo. For whatever reason, Nintendo doesn't release its digital sales. At number 3 is Madden NFL 24. At number 4 is Diablo. At number 5 is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. At number 6 is Star Wars Jedi Survivor. At number 7 is Starfield. At number 8 is Mortal Kombat 1. At number 9 is Resident Evil 4. And at number 10 is MLB The Show 23. So Starfield sold so well that it became one of the top 10 best-selling games of the year so far. So that's interesting considering that Game Pass exists. Well, I have been playing some games this week, and the game that I've been playing the most is Spider-Man 2. And I want to mention it here right at the top. Spider-Man 2, so far, I'm about, I want to say halfway, maybe not halfway, but I'm really, really enjoying my time with it so far. I think it's really good, really polished. Although I will say I have had a couple like glitches. My game crashed one time. It was during like one really like hardware intensive moment in the game. There's a moment where you're sort of jumping through portals. I don't want to say any more than that, but if you've played the game, you know exactly where I'm talking. Yeah, at that moment it crashed on me. So yeah, I will say like the facial animations and stuff look like kind of weird in this game. I wonder if there will be a patch to make it look better, but I don't know. Some of the facial animations not totally great in this game. That being said, I think so far the story is very intriguing. The gameplay is just as fun as ever. The traversal is fantastic. They made the really fun traversal of Spider-Man 1 even better in this one. Adding the wingsuit is just so fun. The extra power of the SSD within the PS5 means Spider-Man can move really fucking fast in this game. Fast traveling is insane because if you fast travel somewhere, you're there instantly, which is just so wild to me. If you switch between Miles and Peter and you switch instantly if you need to switch. Yeah, it's so far a really, really good game. I'm hoping to beat it within this week so we can go into more detail about it. Me and Nick did have a little bit of a conversation about it. So I'm going to maybe insert that right here. How far have you gotten?
Yuri.
Oh.
I got that side quest.
I just started that side quest myself.
Okay. I also right after the Coney Island.
Okay, I'm kind of right around there as well.
Okay, like before or after?
Oh, I'm after it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I just got Tombstone back.
You just rescued Tombstone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was like the main thing that I did.
Okay. I think that's like the last thing I did as well. I think.
Okay. Yeah, and then it kind of opens up after that, and now I've got a whole bunch of side stuff that I got to tie up still.
Yeah.
So
I've been doing a lot of side stuff. I think I've done more side stuff than you, just comparing our trophies. Not that I've been doing that, but I have been.
I've kind of just on my way to the main story. I'll hit the side things that pop up. So like the city events or the photo ops or even like the Yuri side quest. It's like, oh, it's right here. I guess I'll go do this.
Yeah, I've only done the first Yuri side quest mission.
I think me as well.
Just the reveal of Yuri, and I was like, shit, this is sick.
The reveal. Oh, I did the next one. So.
This is sick. Yo, the fucking Doctor Strange reference, huh? That was pretty cool.
That was pretty crazy.
I wasn't expecting that.
It kind of went away before I could read the whole thing. I didn't quite understand. He's like, me and the Doctor.
We just got back from
Nepal.
Yeah.
And then he steals the thing back or something.
Yeah. Wong. I love that. I was like, damn, I wasn't expecting that. I thought there would be all sorts of like rights issues, but
no, yeah, that was really cool. I really liked that portal thing with Black Cat.
Yeah, that was cool. Through, like, my game crashed.
Antarctica through that, really?
Like the first, right when it started, and I jumped through a portal, and as I jumped through the portal, my game just fucking crashed, and I was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I did get this game early, I suppose. So
yeah, I've only had one real game-breaking bug, and that was in Coney Island. There was a bench, and I went to sit on the bench, and it's like there was options like get up, look around, and talk to MJ. So I'm like, talk to MJ. They just sat. And all I could do was look around, and it's like, okay, maybe I just like, there's a conversation going on, but I can't hear it. So I sat for like 5 minutes, and I'm like, it's broken. So I just had to reload the save.
Oh, dude, I went on is it Ferris wheel?
The big wheel. The big wheel, yeah.
Is it a Ferris wheel? Is that what that is? Yeah, Ferris wheel.
Okay, yeah.
I'm mixing up Ferris wheel and carousel. I get on the Ferris wheel, and as I get on it,
the last thing you do on that,
there's an enemy T-posing like in the air, just floating in front of. I'm like, what the fuck is that? I'm like, okay, an enemy encounter is about to happen, I guess.
Yeah,
and I was right, it did.
Yeah,
that scene was sick, dude. With the roller coaster, that was sick.
That was cool. It made me feel real bad. It was like, shit.
I was like, she's gonna die.
She's gonna fucking die. And then, yeah.
That would have been nuts.
That would have been really cool. I thought MJ was gonna get into some shit, and then he would have to choose MJ or the people on the roller coaster. And I'm like, Green Goblin shit. But no, not yet.
Yeah, I was like, this is gonna lead him down the path of the symbiote suit, but.
Mm-hmm.
I still haven't gotten the symbiote suit, so
I haven't either.
Yeah, I'm taking my time.
Keeps attacking him, but
yeah, I'm like,
and they're like,
nothing to worry about here.
You're my best friend.
Let's get into what is coming out next week. Next week in games, we've got City Skylines 2 coming to PC on October 24th. I am so hyped for this game. I cannot wait. If you're interested in seeing me play it, when it comes out, I do plan on playing it on stream. So check us out, twitch.tv/lonercast. I will definitely be playing it over there. Just Dance 2024 is coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and Switch on October 24th. Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1 is coming to PS5, Xbox Series, Switch, PC, October 24th. Lord of the Rings Return of Moria comes to PS5 and PC on October 24th. Stray Souls comes to everything except for the Switch on October 25th. Battle Cakes comes to PC on October 26th. Dave the Diver finally comes to Switch on October 26th. Really great game. Check that game out. Frog Detective: The Entire Mystery comes to everything on October 26th. Ghostbusters: Rise of the Ghost Lord comes to PlayStation VR and Quest on October 26th. Ghost Runner 2 comes to PS5, Xbox Series, and PC on October 26th. Mineko's Night Market comes to PS5, PS4, and Xbox One on October 26th. World of Horror comes to PS5, PS4, and Switch on October 26th. Alan Wake 2, which I'm very excited about, comes to PS5, Xbox Series X, and PC on October 27th. EA Sports UFC 5 comes to PS5 and Xbox Series X on October 27th. October 30th, we get Resident Evil Village on iOS. What the fuck? And then Resident Evil Village Winter's expansion comes to iOS on October 30th. What the fuck? Okay. If you want to play those games on your fucking iPhone, go for it, dog. Well, that's been the show. Like I said, this was a shorter episode, but I really appreciate you checking it out. And I hope you will subscribe and check us out. This is where you find your weekly news. Also, keep an eye out. I plan on posting tomorrow. Me and Nick did a really extensive deep dive into Ahsoka and what's going on over at Disney Plus. And, we kind of talked about the future of Star Wars and what's going on with Star Wars and our thoughts on the current state of Star Wars with a little bit of Marvel sort of pushed in there as well. So definitely check that out if you're interested. I really appreciate you watching, and we'll check you next week.